Hi, I'm Ryan, the Clinical Director at Onsite. We are so grateful that you joined us today. Each week we see folks come into our program wanting to have more meaningful, reciprocal relationships in their life. And if you are someone who has been told that they love too big, need too much, or have too many feelings, today is going to be for you. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You meet someone and you either immediately feel some spark, feel some desire to make it work. This is going to be the person that you're in a relationship with, friendship, intimate, or otherwise. A conflict happens and you need resolution in the moment. You feel some degree of distance for whatever reason, and there is an anxiety and desire to pull them back closer to you. There is a worry of, I have to become the thing that they want me to be, or make this relationship continue, or it's not going to last. Often we wonder if this is loving too much, and I want to offer that it is not loving too much, it's something else entirely. It is your nervous system responding, and once we know what it is responding to and what it needs, we have a lot more opportunity to choose something different. The attachment styles are our template of relationships that we are given when we are young. And so they're called by many different names. They are secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Depending on the camp folks are in, they may be titled differently. And yet they're really just this framework that we begin to see others, our relationship with them, and how we show up through. It is something that is given to us in our experience and begins to ripple throughout our lives. So when we think of attachment styles, it is really this template of relationships that we're given based on our early life experiences and our relationships with our caregivers. There is a secure attachment where I can be comfortable both in closeness and in separation. The anxious attachment, which we will talk about today, which is a worry of that separation and really feeling most connected when we are deeply close. Avoidant attachment, which is a need for real independence and separation. And the other end to that anxious attachment, which is the fear and the discomfort in closeness, and disorganized, which is a mix of many. We often think that if I've been given one attachment template, that is the way I will show up forever, or that is the way that I show up everywhere. And the truth is, not only can that style change, can our pattern change, but I may show up really securely in some relationships, and yet that old anxiety wound is present in my closest relationships. So not in every relationship will I show up the same, nor am I always destined to show up in the same way. There is always change and shifting that's possible. So in adult relationships, what we might see with someone who has an anxious attachment pattern is this desire and this behavior that tries to pull people closer when they perceive a sense of drifting away or a sense of separation. Real difficulty in just being in the space in between conflict and resolution, and need for reassurance, and continued demonstration of love and support even when it's being given. There may also be this adjustment of what we're interested in, what we value, based on the other person in an effort to keep them close. And really internally what is happening is a lot of fear of abandonment. And this worry of, if I don't do the thing or become the thing, that person may leave. And that sensation can look like or feel like hypervigilance. It can feel like fear, anxiety. We may notice some sensation in our heart, in our stomach. It's this real activation in our nervous system that says, I must fix, I must do, and the fear of what happens if I don't. We often find that people who really desire that closeness find people who are avoiding that closeness. And there's really a couple of reasons why. So one is, if we grew up in a system where we had to seek love, affirmation, attention, we are going to get really familiar with doing that and finding people who mirror that same pattern with us. We also begin to develop this sense of meaning towards the love that we're receiving, almost as though the love that is harder to get is more valuable than what's readily available. And so we base our worth, our sense of self on our relationships, and many of us do this, on our relationships with one another. And we really want to find someone who is willing to affirm us. And if we've been in a system where we have struggled to receive that, if I can make that happen, it almost offers me this sense of completion for what I never got to experience before. So we want to do an exercise, and you'll need a pencil and a piece of paper. And I'm just going to name a few different scenarios, and I invite you to write down the sensation that you feel as you hear them, as you picture them, and the emotional experience that you have as you imagine going through them. Imagine that you have just seemingly resolved a conflict with a close friend, and they say that everything is okay, and yet you still feel like things aren't back to normal. Imagine that someone that you care for is supposed to be home at 6 p.m. and it's 6:15 and you haven't heard from them. You send a text to someone you really love, and you see those little dots pop up that they're responding, they go away, and they haven't responded in a few hours. You're spending time with someone you truly care about, and they say that everything is fine, and yet you just get a sense that something is off. If you imagined any of those or have walked through any of those and a sense of anxiety, fear, really profound worry have come up, this is a moment to begin to practice acknowledging and really honoring that experience, and also tending to yourself and reminding yourself that in this moment you are okay. In this moment you are with you. And at the core of anxious attachment is often this fear of abandonment. What will happen if I'm left, and the fear that it will inevitably happen. I can never truly be left if I'm always here with me. And going back to the emotional experience, the sensations that you wrote down, imagining that now that wasn't you going through it, but it was a close friend. What is the best thing, the most supportive thing that you would say to them if they were feeling it? And practice right now, beginning to say that to yourself. And so write down with each one of those experiences something kind, compassionate, and not dismissive, but really honoring of the feeling that you can offer yourself, being your own friend. Often when we begin to look at the anxiety that leads our relationships, we begin to mistake the intensity in it for true intimacy, and that intensity also being mistaken for what love is. And love can be defined by many different things. Sternberg says it is at a foundation of commitment, passion, and true intimacy. And yet, our relationships in our life might have a variation of those different things. We are really at a misfortune in the English language to have this one word, love, that describes my relationship with my dog, my children, and a piece of pizza. And so we all get an opportunity to look at what does love truly mean for us? And what is the type of love that I want to welcome into my life? And often at the core, when I ask that question to people, at the core of the answer, one thing that shows up is reciprocity. And am I being met with the same care and consideration that I am offering another person? Is my system able to feel at ease? And am I able to be in a place of trusting that, not without force, but with space and breath, that the relationship will continue and thrive? When someone says that they love too much, I have not met a person who has said that truly loves too much, and I don't know if that's even possible. I'd be more curious about what has love been mistaken for, and is there possibly a fear that has been overextended, or a need that has been unmet? What else feels too much? Love can be mistaken for an attachment. There's a relationship that has existed based on time and history, and yet we're not really showing up for each other. Love can be mistaken for something that is transactional. It can be mistaken for this pursuit and something that I have to force into my life, and love is something that we really deserve to have freely given. And when we imagine love, there's more of an ease with it than a direction or an intensity or a force. Reassurance is something that those of us who have an anxious attachment style are often seeking. And the reason why it's never enough reassurance is often we grew up in a family system where love, support, care, concern was inconsistent. And so we weren't able to trust and predict how someone was going to consistently show up. They might say, I love you, and yet their actions are unloving. Or one day they show up really present, and the next day they seem completely absent. And so we begin to have this belief that when someone says, I love you, my mind fills in the blank afterwards for what is unspoken. I love you for now. I love you because of this, so don't lose that thing. I love you, and whatever else that message might be. There is this belief and this lens that we begin to hear and see people through that shifts what is happening and distorts it based on what we have already learned and experienced. And so until I defog the clouded lens, so to speak, that I've begun to see people through, I can get all the reassurance in the world, and I'm not going to have the self-assurance to receive that and really trust and believe it. So if you have connected to this, or even the exercise earlier, we want to offer you another one, something to support you and help you feel like you have more agency and choice in the way that you respond and the way that you show up. And so the next time that you find yourself in a situation where you feel that worry, the anxiety, the fear come up, we often begin to allow that emotion to lead our decisions. And I want to invite just a few moments to first acknowledge it. I notice the sensation in my chest, or wherever that might be for you. I remember this sensation. It feels familiar. And really connected to that, what is the fear? And what is the need that I have? You might find that you fear what might happen, might fear someone leaving, might fear the sense of responsibility of perceiving having done something wrong, and the real need is a sense of connection and groundedness. So knowing that, what can I offer myself right now? To self-attune is to be able to acknowledge, what am I feeling? That old attachment pattern that is being touched on, it is not just this situation in front of me, and it is not something that is wrong with me. It is this template that I've been carrying through the world. And what I need most right now is to remember that I am okay. That in this moment, I am safe. And though whatever may be happening in your life feels like a threat, and our brain sees it that way, as does our nervous system, perhaps that threat is only seen that way based on that clouded lens that we talked about. And so how can we begin to clear that off by just saying, in this moment I am safe. I will be okay. I have gone through difficult things before, and I have made it through the other side. If this is something that you've connected to and you want more support with, feel free to check out the link offered and explore some of our programs. In both our Healing Trauma program and our Living Centered program, we spend a lot of time focusing on how do we come back home to ourselves, how do we build our relationship with ourselves and begin to create more choice, more opportunity, more connection with others. We offer these programs both in California and in Tennessee, and have many other resources that may support you in coming home to yourself and building the relationships that really make life meaningful. Thank you so much for joining us and for walking through this with us. If you are a person who has been told that you love too much, you feel too deeply, your needs are too many, I want to remind you that that's not true. There is nothing wrong with you, and you have found a way, despite anything that you have gone through, to create relationships and create connection. And now, by having listened to this, I can only imagine that maybe you want to have deeper connections, including a deeper connection with yourself. And so there is nothing that you have done wrong, and there is so much more support that you deserve and can be offered to help you create more reciprocal relationships. You've likely been seeking the love that you always deserve to receive and trying your very best to offer it to others. And so I hope that whether with us or in the many healing roads around the world, that you find a path that helps you truly feel love and connection, first and foremost with yourself, and really begin to experience that sense of ease in relationship with others. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ryan, and that was When You Love Too Much.